She's making pajamas right now for the grandkids. You're the man, buddy.
AliveAndSocial.com. That's the website. You're listening to the Four Outdoorsmen. Thanks for coming back. We're -1 Boom tonight. What's he got? Ice fishing-itis? It's too early to be ice fishing. I'm not sure what he's got. Well, we've got Strewman, the wild card, here with us. Our producer, Mark Lukey. 3 of the 4 Outdoorsmen. We have some great guests for you tonight as well.
I'm back in town, pal, after Arizona for 3 or 4 days with my buddies. It's a lot of laughs. You know, I don't care if you, I don't care what you do. As long as you enjoy it and you can do it and you can afford it, do it.
This was just a trip with the guys.
4 guys, same 4 guys that golf with on a regular basis. We're all about the same. No, don't. If Dan Boris is listening, I know you're better than I am, Dan.
Did he make that point?
I pay these guys $5 so I don't have to bet.
Right.
But boy, we laughed a lot, and he hit some good shots, and he hit some crappy shots, and he had great weather, and just had a great time. Very, very blessed. So 4 days away from my gorgeous wife. That's the hardest part about that trip, pal.
I'm sure. You're down there in Phoenix. Did you, out in the golf course, you see any coyotes?
No coyotes, but we saw those little those wild boars.
Really?
Yeah, wild boars that you were talking about. Boy, I saw 3 of those things. They ran through the cacti. I guess it's called cacti.
Well, I don't know if they have the javelinas down there because it's the desert Southwest. I haven't hunted hog down there. I hunted over in southeast, down in the very southern tip of Georgia. We actually flew into Jacksonville. And the hogs you hunt down there are more like feral pigs, considered traditional hogs.
These might have only been about 20 pounds. I don't know how big.
Yeah, they're probably javelinas,
All right.
which is a smaller hog and known to Texas and the desert Southwest down there, which was imported to that area.
Yeah.
And
Chupacabras,
like the hogs, the chupacabras. Maybe that's what you saw was a chupacabra, man.
Saw some, I don't know what kind of deer they are. Are they mule deer or are they black deer? There saw about a half a dozen nose across the fairway.
They have both down in that area. If they were smaller, mule deer, they have the big ears and a larger deer that bounded.
No, I don't. They weren't very big.
Those black deer, that they have down there. I've not hunted those either, but I hear you can carry one out, throw it over your shoulder, and carry it out. A nice buck down there. They're smaller.
Good. Yeah, but it was a great time. How was your week? What'd you get? What'd you do?
I don't remember, but it was one of those weeks. It's just been go, and doing stuff, and I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
People off.
I got back Thursday. This is the first time on my trip, I believe, ever taken an airplane ride where I had to sit on the tarmac for an extended period of time. And on the way out there, this is Monday morning, I believe it was, our first snowfall, and you think the world was ending
every time.
And we had to wait on the tarmac for 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes until they de-iced the airplanes. Well, don't they prepare for this stuff? Don't they read the weather reports?
The forecast was coming in, and it had a name of which I can't remember now. It was kind of a goofy name, and it was a winter storm. They named it. It's snowing.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't
like hurricanes. They named it.
There weren't 30-mile-an-hour winds. That we didn't get 12 feet of snow. I guess they got over a foot in some places up north, but certainly not a storm you would name. And what a few inches here and there. Maybe I think 5 or 6 in the north edge of the metro, but yeah, at the airport. I mean, that's pretty standard weather.
This is Minnesota, pal, and there was a guy who's sitting next to me. This is interesting because I had the chairs all to myself because one of the guys they shut down for 2 hours. About an hour after we were shut down, here comes 20 people on the plane that either got knocked off of a different plane or were late for our plane. So the guy who sits next to me got to our plane just as they're closing the door. They wouldn't let him in. And we're sitting there for an hour. They still wouldn't let him in. Finally, they let him in, and we're talking. I said, "This sucks. I've never done this before." He's listened. He said over Thanksgiving he went to northeast someplace. I don't know, Virginia. I don't know, someplace northeast with his 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, to visit mom and dad. They were on an airplane for 4.5 hours without moving.
I'm not sure I could do that.
With a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Now, they were told...
I just yell bomb and get it over.
Jail is better than that plane.
He said after an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever, they gave them the option to go off the plane if you want to, but there's no guarantee you're getting back. He didn't want to take the chance. But after 4.5 hours, he said, we're not going anyplace.
Why wouldn't they just let you back on?
I have no idea.
I mean, 4.5 hours is a stretch of time, but on a plane, that's like 10 hours.
Yeah.
You're not flying Spirit, are you?
No, this was American Airlines. It wasn't bad at all.
Okay, yeah. One of the big hitters. Yeah,
so also then something else that was really cool, and I think you probably have seen this. I'm a theater guy as well. I like to organize things. So got back Thursday night. Went to dinner with my gorgeous wife Friday, I believe, and Sunday, about 12 or 15 of us went to see Triple Espresso at the Music Box Theater. And if you haven't seen Triple Espresso, you've got to. It's funnier than hell. It's been there for 25 years. They started this thing. It was written by a guy from the Twin Cities, and he was in the play again this last weekend. But it was they started this, and it was supposed to have like a 6-month run. It's been so successful. They've been at the Music Box Theater on 14th and Nicollet for 25 years, and it is funny. The music's great, and it is funny.
I'm such a bad friend. I have some goofy actor friends, and they've been in that over the years, and I still have not seen it.
But it's wonderful.
I'll get out to it.
Wonderful.
Just like I will so many other things.
Now, since we have the Christmas season here, I'd like a cute little story for you. By the way, honey, if you're listening to this podcast or whatever we have here, and it's fuzzy, Mark said this might be fuzzy. Will you text me and let me know if this is fuzzy, will you? Because we have to. Our producer Mark has to fix this thing. He said it was kind of fuzzy.
I think it's his goatee rubbing up against his microphone.
Anyway, so 3 guys. It's Christmas season here. 3 guys get in a car accident. One of them is Brian Zepp, unfortunately, and they die and they go to heaven.
Oh.
They go up to meet St.
I
Peter.
got to heaven.
Well, no, not yet. You got to meet St. Peter, pal.
Dang it.
You're going to limbo or purgatory first, I think.
That close.
You Catholics.
You got all those venials, and So anyway, one of the guys says, "I can't believe we made it to heaven." And St. Peter says, "No, not yet. Since it's the Christmas season, let's have a little fun here. Show me something that resembles Christmas, and I'll let you in." The guy takes the lighter out and flicks the lighter, and St. Peter says, "What's that supposed to be?" He says, "That's a Christmas candle." St. Peter says, "That's pretty good. That's pretty good."
Was that me?
That wasn't you. No, you're last, pal.
You're the punchline.
The second guy takes out a set of keys, and he shakes the keys, and St. Peter says, "Okay, what's this?" He says, "Those are Christmas bells. Those little bells."
All right.
That's pretty good. He places them in heaven. Here comes Zepp. He's searching around. He takes a pair of bikini underwear out of his pants pocket. Yeah, that was you. And St. Peter said, "What does this have to do with Christmas?" And you said, "They're carols." There you go. That's my Christmas joke for 2015.
All right, I'll have one next Tuesday for sure for you. I know a couple. Nothing's coming to mind right now. You know how that goes when you try and think of a joke. Buck Benson is one of our guests tonight, a little bit later on in the program. Now, Lonnie Dupree is somebody that we've talked to before. Lonnie is one of these, those, I talked about my weirdo actor friends.
Yeah.
Even more rare is that person that just goes out by themselves and climbs a mountain, spends a month out there climbing a mountain in a little tent on the side of the mountain. You can't roll over, or you'll fall 2,000 feet.
Or you sleep in a snow hut for about 4 days until the storm flies by.
It's not cold enough in Minnesota for Lonnie Dupree. Now, Lonnie Dupree, so we had him, an amazing adventurist from right here in Minnesota, and he's got a buddy, Buck Benson, that you've been talking about ever since we've talked to Lonnie.
Right.
And were they trying the big K2? Is that the deal?
No, I'm not exactly sure the name of the mountain. I think it was called
Tenzing Peak.
Tenzing Peak.
Oh, it's
they were
near
gonna
Mount
give it a
Everest.
Shot. Yeah. As a matter of fact, not Mount Everest. This is supposed to be more difficult than Mount Everest
because Everest is just so easy.
Everybody that climbs a mountain says this one's actually more difficult.
Well, this is a mountain. This is a peak that no one's ever climbed before. In the year 2014, Nepal, that area apparently opened up maybe 5 or 6 different areas where people can climb for a couple of reasons. Number one, for bring tourist money in, and number two, to take the pressure off Mount Everest and whatever else they climb out there. So that's one of the goals that Lonnie's going to do, and Buck was trying to help him prepare for that.
Yeah.
And something went awry, and they didn't do it, or they didn't complete it, or whatever. They had Sherpas and a whole ball of wax.
Well,
and so I'm not sure what the next step is.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that because one of the challenges of just opening a mountain since 2013 is Everest. I mean, they've got that sucker mapped out front and back, and the whole. They've been doing that every day for nearly a century. But if it's a mountain they've just opened up to climbing, you're going into some unknown, and it's in a mountain range where they're all biggies. Mount Everest is about 22,000 feet.
More than 28, I believe it is.
Is it 28,000 feet? So everything's pretty big in that neck of the woods. So I'm excited to talk to him about that, and then. We've got a mystery guest.
We've got a little mystery guest. Somebody we might have had on before, but I think it's somebody that you'll appreciate. And we've got a little story about this guy as well, so you'll have a good time with him.
Let's give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot. What time?
If it's fuzzy, I'll just cut it. And I'll have to bullshit for an hour.
Honey, is it fuzzy tonight, honey? Let me know.
Has she texted you?
She's making pajamas right now for my grandkids.
Oh, she just texted me. Tell Stu to leave me alone.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's
bad. What do you think?
Let's see what it sounds like. when he or she answers. I don't know who it is.
I'll give it a try again. Sorry about that.
This is our producer,
Aliveandsocial.com. You go to the website. We got about, a couple of dozen podcasts on Alive and Social.
Yeah.
Great Northern, Sexcast, Apples to Apples, with the Applebaum dad and son that get into various topics each week. That's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, and a friend of mine, Lori LeBay, has a podcast here all about Alzheimer's. And her mom went through it, and she's been doing this for about 3 years now. Wonderful lady, and that's really, really important stuff. So she's on every week.
And a very popular podcast on aliveandsocial.com. Dialing up?
Here we go.
Dun, 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 dun.
And also on not only the big podcast we have here, this show like the Four Outdoorsmen, we're doing this little 3-minute gig every week. I don't know, it was Boomer and I have been doing it.
I haven't been a very good outdoorsman, and I haven't been a very good podcaster. But I have a New Year's resolution. You guys are going to be, wow, man. It's like,
I tell you,
who is this new Superman?
I went to the ice show on Sunday as well, and boy, were they kicking butt at the St. Paul Ice Show.
George, are you there?
Georgie.
Hello?
I didn't hear the phone ring, did
George
you?
Krug?
George Krog.
Oh, I hope we get a hold of him.
Well, since Mark is having a little trouble here, George Krog, to you listeners right now, last year, he's 84, he's probably 85 years old right now. And George, last year, someplace in northern Minnesota, where he hunts his bucks only.
Around the Two Harbors area.
Yeah, so it's bucks only. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, he couldn't even, he could see a bunch of does, but it's bucks only. And we'll talk about this if we get him this time.
Could not draw a tag. Wow.
Yep.
Ooh.
Man.
Well, let's give it a shot anyway. Let's see what he sounds like.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, is this George?
Yes.
Hey, George. Welcome to the Four Outdoorsmen.
Pardon?
Can you hear us okay, George?
Yes, I hear you.
George, welcome to the Four Outdoorsmen. We did this when it was a radio show, so you remember us.
Yeah, I kind of remembered we did that some time ago.
Yeah, so you remember this is Zepp, and we've got our good friend Stu here with us, and Mark. And it's good to be talking to you again, George. Now, last we spoke with you, first time we spoke with you, as Stu was mentioning, you were unable to draw a deer tag. At the time, 84 years old, and you just thought that as a lifelong deer hunter and resident of Minnesota, that 84 years old, you ought to be able to at least draw some type of deer tag that you could go out each year and put some venison in your freezer. You depend on it. You believe you've earned it, and we agreed, and you were able to get a hold of, I think at the time, the head of the DNR, and I'm not sure who that was or is.
It happened, and I'm very glad I could help some of us old-timers extend our hunting season.
Now, hey, George, I'm going to clarify this. What happened was what George was saying, okay, where he hunts, are you up by Two Harbors? Is that where you are? Okay. And George, to our listeners who have never heard George speak before, it's bucks only, and he never got a doe permit tag, and he never saw any bucks. The last 3, 4, or 5 years, never saw a buck. So he lobbied to the DNR and the legislature that I'm 84 years old. Why can't I shoot a doe, whether or not I get a permit or not? And all of a sudden, about 3, 4 months ago, they passed a law, and we affectionately call it the George Krog Law.
Yeah.
That says anybody 84 years old or older in the state of Minnesota can shoot a doe without a doe permit. And George was the man who got this thing going. Now, the big question is, George, this is 2015, your first deer hunting season on the new George Krog Law. And here we go. I'm going to drum roll. Tell us, did you get a doe without a doe permit?
Well, let me tell you this. Opening morning, about 7 o'clock, a doe came in, and she was very nervous. And I knew I didn't have much time. And you know what? Being 84 years of age, I'm not as quick as I used to be.
I'm sure not.
And just as I was going to shoot, she was gone. And that's the only deer I saw all season.
You didn't get any shots this year. Did you draw a doe permit this year? Did you apply for one?
No, I didn't have to.
All right.
Well, see, what happened was then I continued to hunt that first week every day. And then I even got into the second week. But in the middle of the second week, there was a bunch of ravens that were really making a lot of noise, and they were coming from my left side of my stand there. So, and this old timer knows something is wrong. I went over there to investigate. Well, sure enough, here laid a doe.
Yeah.
And it was killed by the wolves. The
Really?
reason I say that, because they hamstrung her. I checked the hind legs, and they hamstrung her. That's how I knew they're very efficient killers, the wolves.
Yeah.
So, okay, when the wolves move in, the deer move out, and that's why I wasn't seeing nothing. And I never saw nothing after that.
Well,
The rest of the season.
so you didn't get a chance to fill your tag. But, the larger point is you provided yourself and a lot of people just like you here in the state of Minnesota with the opportunity to get out and get that one. Now, we got to wrap it up here, George. I'm sorry, and cut it a little short tonight.
I'm just going to tell you one thing.
Please do.
I am just glad to be out there.
Yeah.
That's number one. I'm still be able to be there. And if I don't shoot nothing, so what? I just am glad I'm able to be there, and that's it.
Well, Mrs. Krog is really good with hamburger helper, I understand. So she'll take care of you the rest of the season. So
And if the good Lord is willing, next year's another season.
Amen.
And I'll be out there again, and maybe, hey, it'll be different. Who knows?
Well, George, we'll look forward to checking in with you again. Would you please tell the missus we said hi? And Stru has something
I
else
sure
he wants to
will.
say.
Hey, George,
Yes.
you've been hunting up there for a billion years, of course. Was this the worst? I mean, did you hear fewer shots this year than you've heard ever before? What is the report up there by Two Harbors?
Well, there wasn't too, a lot of, I wasn't the only hunter that didn't see any game either. I wasn't alone, because I talked to a few people, and I talked to the game warden about it, and he said, no, it in certain areas, a lot of hunters didn't see nothing. But, hey, you know what, sir? That's why they call it hunting.
That's hunting.
That's right. It's
That
not.
is.
It's not shooting. It's hunting. All
Well,
right.
George,
It's hunting.
Jo-
Yeah, you got that right.
All
And,
right.
hey, we never know. You got to be at the right place at the right time, and that's all it amounts to.
the Wolves beat you to it. Well,
And
George,
over the years, I've experienced the same thing, so I don't feel bad. I'm just glad I still am able to be out in the woods. And that's
Attaboy.
number one with me.
Attaboy.
truly an inspiration. And, well, thanks for your time again tonight, George, and
Well,
better
thank
luck
you.
next season.
Yeah.
Thanks
That's all I can say. Good Lord willing, I'll be out there.
All right. Be well, George.
Take care, George. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Oh, it's too. I love talking to George. He's one of my favorite people to talk to. When you get him on, he's a character. But yeah, some technical difficulties, what you'll have with these kind of things, especially when you have an experienced producer. I'm teasing.
I thought it would be fun to talk to George because I didn't know exactly what his results were, but I thought it would have been great to be 84, 85 years old and not have to draw a permit and still be able to go out and his first year of being able to do so, be able to get a deer without having to get a permit and without having to draw a doe tag. But it didn't work. And I talked to his wife. She talks more than George. And after he hunted almost 2 weeks here in Two Harbors, northern Minnesota area, seeing only one doe, and then he goes to Wisconsin someplace with nephews or something, and he spent 4 or 5 days there and saw nothing there as well. So although I understand that statewide we shot more deer this year than we did in 2014.
It's statistically it was a really good year, but statistics don't mean squat if you don't see anything and you don't get anything. So now, but the wolf thing I was more interested in, but we just didn't have the connection to talk to George some more. But I wonder if he saw some tracks around there. But you got a feeling that an 85-year-old guy that's been hunting there his whole life probably knows the difference between a wolf kill and a doe that may have died some other way. Even being hunting season, sometimes they get shot and they don't track them.
I wonder what percentage of guys like George, probably not George, someone younger, maybe my age or your age, who's been hunting up there all their lives, and really firmly believe that the wolves have been one of the biggest negative factors on the reduction of the hunt of the herd. How many of those guys would literally shoot a wolf if they saw a wolf in the woods? I bet a lot. I bet a lot.
You mean without a tag?
Absolutely.
Well, there may be some. I suppose it depends, how what the attitude up there is. I don't spend enough time up there to know what the locals think about that. But what did catch my attention, if George is right, that's in the Two Harbors area. That's not up by the Canadian border.
Yeah.
That's not out in the boundary somewhere. That's pretty far south for wolves to be hanging out in the Two Harbors. And the Two Harbors, Duluth area, that's a pretty populated area. So, but, like I said, that's what George had to say. So that's as far as we know. Now, George kind of last year, because what I thought was really ultimately amazing about George's story was he either called and left a message or mailed a letter to the head of the DNR. And the head of the DNR spoke with him.
Right, he did. Called him right back. Yeah.
I mean,
that was Mark Johnson.
Thank you,
Mark Johnson. At that time, now it's Craig Engvall, but it was Mark Johnson at that time.
Just when you think you can't get through that red tape, I mean, wow, he got all the way through. And remember, last year they called up there and had somebody from the DNR in that area. I forget if it was a buck that had been
monster,
a monster buck, and I forget how it had been harvested.
It was hit by a car.
And it was a fresh kill, and the DNR goes out there and does their thing, and they took that over to George.
Yeah.
So he's able to put it in the freezer. I don't know if they'll cut him the same slack this year because he's had the same chance everybody else did, but like you said, Mrs. Krug is going to be working the hamburger helper this year.
Yeah.
Going to the canned stuff.
You get the outdoor news, right?
First, I want to thank our sponsor, Coors Light.
Absolutely, yeah. I've already thanked him once. I'm going to thank him one more time before the end of the show, I'll tell you. But
for sure.
Also, Lakes Trading Company is still having that offer. Yep. Type in Sportsman when you check out for a permit to carry class, and you get $30 off.
Cool. That's Lakes Trading Co.
LakesTradingCo.com, yep. Joe and Ben will take care of you. Great shop. Was just up there, spent some time, and go visit our friends up there.
We were talking a little bit before we came on air about the St. Paul Ice Show, and I was one of the only members of our crew. Boomer spent Thursday, Friday, and Saturday there, and I talked to
some of the guys. I told you I was busy. I had a nap to take.
And I snuck out there Sunday, and they said Saturday was the most successful day, not just Clam and the Ice Team boys, but everybody I spoke to, Jiggy Anderson and all these guys. My best friend Jason Mitchell was there, and so
your best friend.
Your best friend. I'm sorry, your best friend. Anyway,
ladies.
So they said that it was by far the most people they've ever seen and the most sales they've had ever in the 20 or 25 years they've been doing the show, whatever it's been.
That's the outdoorsman in me. I heard that I was working till 2 o'clock, and I thought, well, I'll go over there and check it out. And I had some friends that were over there, and they're like, this is a madhouse. And I went, oh, maybe I'll go on Sunday. And then
Sunday was great for me.
Got busy doing some stuff. But, we've had early ice.
Yeah.
So it was, when you've got this warm weather, this is just the kind of weather they probably like to kick it off because it's nice enough that everybody's going to get out and want to get out and do something and not feel trapped in the house. But yet we don't have that ice up, but they're not going to go ice fishing.
Yeah.
So that's, that worked out, I'm sure, in their favor as far as attendance. It's always a big show because they have everyone out there. I mean, I can't imagine who in the ice fishing industry isn't represented at the St. Paul Ice Show.
It is absolutely chaotic. A good friend of mine that I was with, Nick Fairbanks. Nick, if you're listening, he's a wonderful guy, loves to fish and hunt quite a bit, loves to ice fish. And he said he went out there, he went with me, and he said, I always come here with nothing to buy, and I walk out with a lot of stuff. He went there with nothing in particular to buy. Walked out with $1,000 worth of stuff.
That's exact. Well, that's why they throw those big shows. There's a lot of guys. That's why you see a lot of families there because mom's like, no, we're not letting dad go by himself. Kids, come on, get in the truck. We're going down to the ice show with your dad to keep an eye on him.
So anyway, talk to our buddies. Devil's Lake is one of our sponsors as well. Devil's Lake Tourism. Yeah. Tanner I met him at the ice show. I talked to him, and I forget the lady's name who was with him as well. She's his boss, Susie, the blonde lady, right? That real hot-looking lady there. Yeah, she's a very attractive woman. And we were talking about next week because next week we're supposed to go to Devil's Lake for the media event, which is cool. The Boomer and I are planning on going down there, and that's about that, I guess. But and I said to Tanner, I said, "Boy, I tell you, this may not happen. There can't be as much ice out there. We'll have to bring the fishing boat with us, or something like that.
Still duck season, isn't it? Take your shotguns, exactly. Man.
But he just texted me this morning, and he said everything looks good. There's 6-7 inches some places. We'll find some place to fish, so everything's still on for now. But I tell you what, he sent me. He said, "No, everything's fine. We got a lot of ice. Come on out. By the way, what size is your body, because we have to get you one of those
float suits.
Yeah, just in case you fall through, we're going to get you a float suit, he said.
No matter where you're at in North America, it's still early ice, and that's a good call. It's true. But, yeah, you're right. That gets you thinking a little bit, doesn't it? But, it's been getting cold at night, and they're further north, too. So that wind blows up there. That helps as well. I don't know what they got as far with this big, horrific snowstorm that we had last week.
Yeah.
No, but they're further north up there, so they may have had some of that. But if they don't have that snow on the ice, if they didn't get that snow in the system, and I know it came out of the south and moved north and east, so they may not have. That's going to help things freeze up there as
Jason
well.
Mitchell was saying that he's already done 2 episodes for his show. What's the name of his show? Jason
He's
Mitchell
been out on the ice. We had Jason on last
Yeah.
week's podcast.
He's done a couple of shows
Yeah,
already.
he said he's been out already. So, yeah, you'll get out on the ice. It's a shallow lake. You'll be fine.
But am I going to be able to ride with Boomer the entire 6 hours both ways, all by myself? But, and not go crazy?
That's why,
You drive.
Yes.
When he drives and looks at his phone, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
do what my kids do. Just put your earbuds in, your headphones on.
Hey, I teased you a little bit this afternoon as well. I saw this in the St. Paul morning paper about this nun from Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, right.
Now don't get excited, Zep. This is not.
Oh.
But no, this is not a. This is a hunting fishing show. The 4 Outdoorsmen.
Kind
right?
of.
This is the St. Paul Pioneer Press this morning.
Back to this Catholic guilt now.
Yeah, this is actually and I was born and raised Catholic. I got tons a Roman Catholic diocese has taken down the Facebook photo of a nun with a 10-point buck she bagged. Sister John Paul Bauer killed a deer November 30th, the first day of the deer hunting season. Initial comments were largely positive on Facebook, but as the page neared 1.5 million views, animal rights activists began taking offense, she said. So the diocese shut her down. They said they took it off Facebook. They wouldn't let her do it anymore. And this nun says that she views hunting as a spiritual endeavor and also a form of conservation, a way to help ensure that the deer population remains at a level that can be sustained by the land. That's pretty good, but they shut her down. The Roman
I guess
Catholic,
we're not sacrificing goats for God anymore in the Old Testament.
Yeah, the Roman Catholic diocese shut her down on Facebook.
After 1.5 million views, you'd just be like, okay, let's just run with this thing.
Yeah. What's another 500,000, my lord?
So the animal rights people just had a problem with her posing with a deer.
I suppose.
Here's what you've got, Catholic Church. You've got a PR problem. Now you've got this new pope that's been rocking it. He came over here, and everybody on the left and the right seems to dig this guy. But you've had a little PR with I'm not even going to say what it is. We all know what we're talking about. The animal rights activists are, I even hate to call them a minority because it's so infinitesimal, the fraction of animal rights activists to your average person, that to bow to you just took 1.5 million people that went.
This is
screw you.
Yeah.
Come on, Catholic Church.
I'm going to start a group
for
called
a handful of angry women.
I'm going to start a group called Nuns Lives Matter. I think that would work. Block Highway 94 with a couple.
But I suppose they've got they operate on their rules. Maybe that was the big problem I had with it. Yeah.
I saw, did you guys see in the news about the beauty queen who has a show that illegally shot a grizzly bear?
No,
I'll tell you this story.
Yeah.
So a former beauty queen, host of the Outdoor Channel adventure show, illegally shot an Alaskan grizzly bear and conspired to cover up the violation, according to the charges filed in rural state court. Teresa Vale of Wichita, Kansas, and star of Limitless with Teresa Vale, is charged with killing a grizzly bear in May without possessing a state bear tag for the animal. Investigators say she held a single bear tag, shot a male grizzly bear, attempted to kill it with a second shot, and instead fired and killed a second bear sow.
Who was our guest that was on that was up hunting not caribou in Alaska? Was it caribou in Alaska? The young man that makes the paddles.
Yeah.
Remember, he did the same thing.
That's right. He did.
He ended up shooting. And what did he do? He
admitted it.
He went
and it was fine.
Immediately to their DNR, Game Fish and Parks, and admitted it. And they said, okay. And I think there was some ramifications, but nothing extreme. And they said, thanks for bringing it to us. It does happen because what did George Krug say? It's hunting.
Yeah.
It happened to you out there. You have a television show, and I'm aware of this young lady that you're talking about. You have an outdoor show, which means you weren't out there by yourself or just with a guide.
Yep.
You must have had a guide along. You've got a crew with you, and nobody stops to say, hey, it happened.
Yep.
Let's, fess up. Tell them exactly what happened. It's a grizzly bear in Alaska.
Yeah.
This isn't a doe in Nebraska Oh,
Right.
look at that,
Wow.
a little rhyme there. I mean, but my point is, it's a pretty big deal. It's pretty heavily monitored. It's in Alaska. You were lucky enough.
And the hunter's from Chaska. I mean, this is amazing.
It's what a $30,000 hunt probably.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
And for your television show, and then you tried to cover it up.
Yeah. That's
That's-
always where you get more in trouble. It said
It is, for sure.
She was charged with unsworn falsification. They said she tried to backdate the game tag in order to make it appear she had purchased the tag before shooting the bear.
I just wonder how much of this was her, because you've got a group of people around you. She's
Right.
not out there by herself.
Right.
Either way, you're a big girl. You're a grown up. We're all responsible for our actions. And wow, stupid thing to do. It was a big time screw up, but I mean, you made it 10 times worse, and it was the wrong thing to do.
Now, speaking about hunting in Alaska, this Sunday, the handicapped hunter Craig Munson, who's no longer a handicapped hunter, and I are meeting Billy.
Able-bodied hunter. We can call him.
Able-bodied hunter right now. We're having lunch.
Stru's not even that.
I'm not even that. We're having lunch with Billy Mole Sunday in Turtle Lake because Craig Munson is seriously going to give it a shot and go hunt in Alaska. He said, that's my goal. I damn near died last year. I might be dead tomorrow. And so Billy said, I can take him out, like I said, maybe elk hunting or caribou, maybe moose. It's not going to be any of the doll sheep thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk seriously about that Sunday, and Craig Munson is so excited. Now, when I talked to Billy yesterday, maybe early this morning, he said, we'll talk about the Alaska hunt that I'm going to put Craig on in 2016. He says, but I got a great bear story for you.
Oh, I love a good
No,
bear.
I don't know if it was in Alaska or Wisconsin, because he just got done deer hunting in Wisconsin, but maybe he had a big black bear story. But I'm going to hear about it on Sunday, and if it's something I think is really cool, we'll have Billy on next week or the week after to talk about that bear story.
Been a while since we've had him on, and I'd love to hear a good bear story, because when he comes on with a good bear story, it's that they shot a 7-foot grizzly 10 yards away, closing in. I mean, he's got some good ones. That's amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I'm looking forward to it, and Craig is all excited. I said, Craig, this might cost you maybe 25, 30 grand, whatever. And I know elk's not that much. It might be about 15 grand.
Just probably not an elk in Alaska, probably a caribou. And
I mean, a caribou, yeah.
That's a standard hunt up. That's kind of a, I don't want to say a beginner's hunt, but it probably is. That's it's the easiest tag to draw, and I think probably the easiest game when you start talking about grizzlies and doll sheep and that sort of thing.
His wife he said, we can go to Alaska, we take a cruise. He says, no, I got to sleep in a tent. He says, I got to sleep in a tent, I got to hoof it a little bit, and I'm going to shoot a gun. So he's looking forward to it. And
Can you do that? Go on a cruise, shoot one off the ship? Like they shoot trap. There's one on the coast, Zep. We'll take the boat in and get it when you knock it down.
Could. Are we going to give Buck Benson a try here? We should.
I think we'll have to do that again. It's just too fuzzy. He's a great story. You said he worked on the radio before.
Oh, yeah. Long time.
And maybe we can harass Zep to call him tomorrow afternoon, and we'll get that on the network for us.
I'll tell you what,
I
in the meantime,
I don't want to fight through
let's get you and I together at the studio when we get an engineer to figure stuff out. No, I'm teasing Mark a little bit, but it happens.
I can do that.
And
I can come into your studio tomorrow before you do your show.
He's not doing anything important.
Right.
Who, me? I don't have a job. I sell real estate. I've got no business.
No, I want you to be there when we talk to Buck, and it'll be a fun interview.
Well, I tell you, with all due respect to Buck Benson, here's what's the gentleman we're talking about. Buck Benson lives in Grand Marais, and he's done everything. He has ridden a bike 5,000, 6,000 miles across South America. He has, with Lonnie Dupre, kayaked halfway around Greenland. He has run many 50-mile races over the hills and through the woods. One of those things, those ultra marathon things.
Place,
He's done it all, and so he's got tons of great stories. And he's been a radio guy up in Grand Marais for many years. He owns the hardware store up there. He's a wonderful guy who's going to take some time tonight. Out of respect for him, you guys BS by yourself for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him and tell him what's going on, so he's not sitting by the phone waiting for us. Is that okay? Or is there anything?
Absolutely. No, go ahead, Stu. We'll get him rescheduled. His name's Buck. Have you ever met a guy named Buck that didn't have great stories?
Yeah.
So,
just a solid, outdoorsy kind of guy.
From now on, I only want to interview people on the Four Outdoorsmen named Buck.
Yep.
We'll do that. All right, Stu will go take care of that. What's the game plan there, Big Shooter? What are you thinking?
Well, I think we'll probably cut it off a little early here today, and then maybe we'll add on that other interview with you guys tomorrow. So sorry for everyone that tuned in for the Big Everest story, but I just didn't want you to have to sit through a crackly interview.
Let's do this. If he can schedule that with Buck, and I'm assuming maybe we probably can, we'll put that on our website. We'll also put it on Facebook.
Yep.
But we'll get that interview, and we'll make it a nice, good, solid interview, and we'll get that up in the next 24 hours. We might have to reschedule or schedule it for Thursday, depending on Buck's schedule.
Yep.
But we'll get that done. And sorry for the technical difficulties.
It happens.
Podcasting, baby.
It happens.
That's hunting. That's podcasting. That's the way it works.
Yep, for sure. So, yeah, what else is going on with you? I'm on D-Day 1. The wife was due yesterday.
Oh, yeah, right. I've been waiting for the news. Every time you text me, it's about,
Buck Jr. is not out yet, but...
Oh, my God. You realize I am calling that kid Buck.
Go ahead.
All right.
There's a lot worse things you could call him. But,
you guys are. And the due date was when?
It was Monday.
Okay,
so it was
wow.
yesterday.
So
yeah, we're ready to go. So it's hard to plan anything.
I
That's
bet
why
Mom's really ready to go.
She's ready to go. You know, she can't really move around too much. That's why I couldn't go to Devil's Lake next week, obviously, because we'll have a newborn. But
sure, I mean, you can't. You're shut down.
Yeah,
shut her down.
I have a feeling it's going to damper a lot of my winter activities. That's just the way the life cycle goes here. But
but you'll be a dad, and pretty soon before you know it, you'll be taking them out with you.
I'm excited to get Nick out ice fishing this year.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he's not going to have the attention span to really fish, but just get him in the house and get him running around and making snow angels.
I just got a hold of Buck Benson, and he was pissed. He's going to call K-Fan tomorrow.
Tell him I know a chick that can take him to a concert tonight.
We just can't do anything.
No, I'm just today is just one of the. Mama said there'd be days like this.
If the whole world were a tuxedo, you'd be a brown pair of shoes, right?
What about what are we thinking? Can we tell our listeners tomorrow, perhaps?
Yeah, he's I can get a hold of him anytime. I've got my mornings free. I've got 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, but if you want to do just before your show, I can get a hold of him anytime tomorrow. So tell me what's best for you, and we'll get it on.
We'll get that recorded with Buck tomorrow, and then we'll have it up on the Alive and Social websites and our face.
We should have it up tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yep.
We'll
have it up tomorrow by this time. So thanks for your patience, folks. Thanks again to our sponsors, Lakes Trading Company. Don't forget, lakestradingco.com.
Mm-hmm.
The word sportsman, the key word in there, and you're going to get a deal on a conceal and carry permit. Coors Light, rock on. Devil's Lake Tourism.
Can't wait.
We'll have more to talk about Devil's Lake Tourism. And Blue 42 Media for doing for not showing up tonight.
Well, thanks, everyone. We'll have that interview for you ready tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.